Today I'm going to tell you the gripping story of J. Robert Oppenheimer, the brilliant physicist who is often called the father of the atomic bomb. This isn't just a biography, it's a real drama. From a childhood in a wealthy family to the heights of scientific success, the creation of the most terrifying weapon in the history of mankind, and the later suffering caused by political persecution. Julius Robert Oppenheimer was born on April 22, 1904, in New York City into a wealthy, cultured Jewish family. His father, Julius, was a self-made textile importer. His mother, Ella Friedman, a painter with a gentle but melancholic soul. Young Robert grew up in a Riverside Drive apartment filled with Van Gogh, Picasso, and Derac paintings, sailing on Long Island Sound, collecting minerals, and reading Baudelaire in the original French at age 12. He was brilliant, fragile, and lonely. Classmates called him Oppie, half affectionately, half mockingly, because he seemed to live in a different dimension. At Harvard, 1922 to 1925, he finished summa cum laude in 3 years, majoring in chemistry but devouring physics, philosophy, and literature. Europe called next. In Cambridge, he suffered a nervous breakdown and, according to legend, left a poisoned apple on his tutor's desk, an incident hushed up by his parents. Recovery came in 1926 at Göttingen, the mecca of the new quantum mechanics. Under Max Born, he wrote a groundbreaking PhD on the Born-Oppenheimer approximation, still taught in every quantum chemistry course today. At 23, he was already publishing with Heisenberg and Pauli. Back in America in 1929, the tall, thin, chain-smoking professor with piercing blue eyes became the brightest star of theoretical physics. He built world-class schools at Berkeley and Caltech, trained a generation of future Nobel laureates, predicted positrons, worked on neutron stars, and even laid early foundations for black hole theory. Colleagues adored and feared his intellect. He could recite the Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit and quote John Donne while sketching nuclear reactions on a napkin. Politically, he drifted left during the Great Depression, supporting Spanish Civil War refugees and labor causes. He fell deeply in love with Jean Tatlock, a passionate psychiatrist and Communist Party member, and later married the strong-willed Catherine Kitty Puning in 1940. Though never a card-carrying communist, his brother Frank, sister-in-law, and many friends were, and the FBI began a file on him that would one day destroy him. Everything changed in 1942. Nazi Germany seemed close to an atomic bomb. General Leslie Groves, the bulldozer who built the Pentagon, needed a scientific director for the secret weapon. He chose the unlikely Oppenheimer, thin, poetic, no administrative experience, questionable politics, because Groves said, "He's a genius. The only genius I've ever met in physics." Oppie accepted instantly. "I have blood on my hands already from doing nothing," he told friends. He picked a remote boys' school on a mesa in New Mexico, Los Alamos. Within months, the desert bloomed with barbed wire, barracks, and the greatest concentration of brain power ever assembled. Fermi, Bohr, Bethe, Teller, Feynman. Oppenheimer, now the coordinator of rapid rupture, became a different man, decisive, inspiring, everywhere at once. He rode horses across the mesa at dawn, remembered every wife's and child's name, and calmed terrified geniuses with midnight conversations about poetry and duty. 2 designs emerged, the simple gun-type uranium bomb, Little Boy, and the fiendishly complex plutonium implosion bomb, Fat Man. By spring 1945, Germany had surrendered, but Japan fought on. Oppenheimer pushed forward. On July 16, 1945, at the Trinity test site in the Jornada del Muerto desert, the gadget exploded with the force of 20,000 tons of TNT. The flash turned night into day. The shockwave knocked men to the ground 40 miles away. Oppenheimer, watching from the bunker, recalled the Gita. "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." 3 weeks later, on August 6th, Little Boy obliterated Hiroshima. On August 9th, Fat Man erased Nagasaki. Japan surrendered. The war was over. Oppenheimer became an American hero, on the cover of Time, celebrated as the man who ended World War II. But privately he was haunted. "Physics has known sin," he whispered. "Success was brief. In 1947, he was appointed director of the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, the most prestigious academic post in the world. Yet the Cold War darkened everything. Edward Teller pushed for a hydrogen super bomb. Oppenheimer argued it was genocidal overkill. When President Truman approved the H-bomb in 1950, Oppie's opposition marked him as suspect. The final act came in 1954. In the hysteria of McCarthyism, his old left-wing associations were weaponized. Lewis Strauss, chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission, and Teller's testimony crushed him. During a brutal security hearing, described as a kangaroo court, his clearance was revoked. The man who gave America the ultimate weapon was declared a security risk. Friends watched him age 10 years and weeks. He never complained publicly, only said quietly, "I did my duty. They did theirs." Redemption came slowly. In 1963, President Kennedy, and later Lyndon Johnson, awarded him the Enrico Fermi Award, the nation's highest honor in science. He accepted it with trembling hands, saying, "I think it is proper to say that we have been cursed and blessed." Cancer took him on February 18, 1967, at age 62. Kitty scattered his ashes over the Virgin Islands, sea he loved. Oppenheimer's life was the 20th century in miniature, dazzling scientific triumph, moral torment, and political crucifixion. He gave humanity the power of gods and spent the rest of his days warning that we were not ready to wield it. In the end, the destroyer of worlds was himself destroyed, by fear, by politics, and by the unbearable weight of knowing what he had unleashed. Thank you for listening to this tragic, extraordinary story. If it moved you, like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Was Oppenheimer a hero, a villain, or simply human? See you in the next one.